Good evening and a warm welcome. It's a windy evening here in Shanghai. The Prime Minister's plane has taken off for Mongolia, bringing to an end a high-profile visit of the Indian Prime Minister, his first after coming to office. It's been exactly a year to the date that Narendra Modi won a landslide election in India. He reached out today to the Indian community in Shanghai. There are just about 50,000 odd people in all of China of Indian origin. 1/10 of them, more than 5,000, were at the Indian Community Center in Shanghai this afternoon. And the Prime Minister reached out to them, tried to turn all of them into brand ambassadors for India, saying Indians know very little of China, the Chinese people know very little of India. He asked every Indian to get at least 5 Chinese tourists back to our country so that the people of our two nations could get to know each other better.
He's used to this, the applause, the ambience and the rousing welcome.
Bharat Mata ki.
And this time, it was Shanghai, where almost 5,000 Indians were waiting to hear Narendra Modi.
इस संतोष के साथ बता रहा हूं.
And from the word go, he didn't disappoint them. He told them that they being in China are also an integral part of his success story.
ठीक 1 साल पहले 16 मई 2014 ये जो 2.5 घंटे का टाइम डिफरेंस है ना, उसने आपको सबसे ज्यादा परेशान किया था. बहुत जल्दी उठ करके, जबकि हिंदुस्तान में लोग सोए थे, आपने पूछना शुरू कर दिया था रिजल्ट क्या आया. खबरें तुरंत आपको मिले, ऐसा था कि नहीं था.
Taking pride in his government's achievements, Modi said that the world is now taking note of India in a different way.
इसमें कोई डिस्प्यूट नहीं है दुनिया में. सारी दुनिया मानती है कि 21वीं सदी एशिया की सदी है. कि इंडिया आज विश्व का सबसे तेज गति से आगे बढ़ने वाला देश है. ये मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संस्थाएं कह रही हैं, जिनकी इस प्रकार के शब्दों की ताकत होती है.
And not forgetting to remind China that अच्छे दिन are here.
दुख भरे दिन बीते रे भैया, दुख भरे दिन बीते रे भैया.
And instilling confidence that India and China are the forces to reckon with.
चीन और भारत दुनिया की 1/3 जनसंख्या है. 1/3. क्या कभी इस ताकत को हमने पहचाना? हम ही भूल गए थे. हम तो ऐसे, छोड़ो यार, हम तो बड़े गरीब देश है, छोड़ो यार. चीन और भारत मिल करके न सिर्फ अपनी समस्याओं का समाधान कर सकते हैं, लेकिन वे दुनिया को भी अनेक संकटों से मुक्ति दिला सकते हैं. मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा.
Taking pride in his modest background, Modi again told the world how India is the only country where a tea seller can dream to become a chief minister.
मेरा बायोडेटा देख करके कोई मुझे पसंद नहीं करता, लेकिन ये हिंदुस्तान की जनता की ताकत है, भारत के संविधान की शक्ति है, डॉक्टर बाबा साहब आम्बेडकर के आशीर्वाद हैं, और हिंदुस्तान के कोटि कोटि जनों की संकल्प शक्ति है कि एक गरीब मां का बेटा भी अगर समाज के लिए समर्पित भाव से संकल्प लेकर निकल पड़ता है, तो जनता जनार्दन आशीर्वाद देती है.
From Madison Square to Shanghai's Expo Center, Modi strikes a chord with the Indian diaspora wherever he goes. With Rahul Kanwal in Beijing, Shujoy, Headlines Today.
The Prime Minister kick-started his day today with a meeting with the top CEOs of Chinese companies. After that, he addressed an India-China business forum. There was a lot of enthusiasm amongst the Chinese companies for wanting to come and invest in the India story. But they wanted the hurdles, the red tapes, the logjam to be cleared. And these companies and their CEOs believe Modi is the man who will be able to deliver. A total of 24 MOUs were signed between Indian and Chinese companies, totaling up to investments more than $20 billion.
Billions of dollars are under one roof.
Day 3 in China and the same story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi continues to make headlines in China. Modi shared the dais with the who's who of Chinese business community. CEOs from top Chinese firms like Alibaba, Xiaomi and Huawei were wrapped in attention as 21 agreements to the tune of $22 billion were signed between India and Chinese firms at the India-China Business Forum. And Modi hit all the right notes.
I can assure you that once you decide to be in India, we are confident to make you more and more comfortable. Our regulatory regime is much more transparent, responsive and stable.
Modi stressed on one basic fact: harmonious partnership between India and China is imperative for economic development and political stability of Asia.
Indo-Chinese partnership should and will flourish. The harmonious partnership between India and China is essential for economic development and political stability of the continent. You are the factory of the world, whereas we are the back office of the world.
Reaching out to Chinese investors, Modi said India is ready to do business and is constantly improving the ease of doing so.
We are going to develop smart cities and mega industrial corridors. For this purpose, we have refined our foreign direct investment policy in construction.
But Modi didn't miss this opportunity to promote his Make in India campaign.
Hence, we want to make things in India. For the purpose, we have launched a campaign called Make in India.
With Rahul Kanwal in Beijing, Shujoy, Headlines Today.
The Prime Minister is accused of being pro-corporate. How does corporate India respond to this charge? I caught up with Rajan Bharti Mittal, Managing Director and Vice Chairman of Bharti Enterprises, and I asked him if the last 1 year had brought Achhe Din for corporate India. Here is a Headlines Today exclusive. I want you to explain your view on Make in India when it comes to Chinese companies, given the fact that most Indian companies now want to come and invest in China.
Well, I think while the Indian companies have been investing in China for manufacturing, even for consumption back home, but I think time has come for Chinese company to come into India, start manufacturing. The cost of labor has gone up here. Cost of doing business is getting up here. So India is a great platform from that point of view, where you get skilled labor, you get large markets, not only for India, but even from exports out of there. So India will become a destination if we can put our act together.
But India is also an impossible country to do business in. You're saying if we put our act together, in the last 1 year, several industrialists are saying things haven't changed fast enough for Chinese companies to feel the difference.
No, I don't think so. That's a correct assumption. There is enough change on the ground. It takes time to put the structural changes, but I think the government is committed to working towards that. They're working hard towards that. I think there are signs to it that it is moving in the right direction. Taxation piece, FDI piece, yes, ease of doing business is taking time, but if you look at the procedural way they are methodically going about it, it will take an impact, it will take shape. So it's not correct to say that nothing is, no work is being done on.
Through this week, the Prime Minister has been pushing for Make in India, but Chinese companies have been complaining about the problems of trying to come and make in India. So is Make in India just a catchy phrase, or will the idea turn into reality? I caught up with Amitabh Kant, Secretary, Industry, Policy and Promotion, the man whose responsibility it is to ensure that the Make in India vision of the Prime Minister comes into reality. Here is a Headlines Today exclusive. We've been traveling across China. Given the huge advantages that China has, it seems this Make in India is a rather far-fetched pipe dream.
No, the Chinese economy is getting increasingly expensive. Wage rates are rising at about 12% per annum, 12 to 13% per annum. China was the factory of the world, with great admiration for this huge energy and dynamism which they've driven manufacturing. But as this economy gets more and more expensive, they'll find it extremely difficult to penetrate global markets. And therefore, it's essential that, if we have a huge trade imbalance, this trade imbalance is unsustainable in the long period. The trade imbalance is to an extent of almost about 45 billion US dollars. And it's important that the Chinese companies actually manufacture in India. In the long run, to my mind, their future is if they manufacture in India and use India as a base for both the domestic market and for exporting.
There's a $44 billion trade imbalance between India and China, and one of the sectors where India hopes that trade imbalance can be corrected to a certain extent at least is the information and technology sector. Infosys CEO Vishal Sikka was in Shanghai. Infosys is setting up a 5,000 strong research center here in the city. I caught up with Vishal Sikka to ask him whether Indian companies can hope to compete with Chinese companies. This is another Headlines Today exclusive. Marquee IT Indian company Infosys announced plans to set up a big center here in Shanghai. Joining us now is the CEO, Dr. Vishal Sikka. Thank you very much, sir. Tell us more about this center.
So more than 10 years ago, Mr. Murthy came here, and the Chinese premier at that time, Zhu Rongji, they started the Infosys presence in Shanghai. It is huge already. We have more than 2,000 people. And today we have announced our new campus that we are building here on our own real estate that we have owned. So we are the largest Indian IT services employer here in China.
So how many people will this center house, and what kind of work will it do?
Over time, certainly more than 5,000, and all development work for China as well as for the rest of the world. And we will also have a training center here of our own. So that's the first time that we are actually building a dedicated training center, education center.
How difficult is it for Indian companies to be able to penetrate the Chinese market, especially given language concerns?
There are many concerns. It is getting better, but there is a lot of room for improvement. But it is certainly getting better, and the Prime Minister's visit will certainly help.
So far, we've dealt with national security, big business, but there's also small businesses. The small idea with the potential to bloom into something special. One of those ideas is by a woman by the name of Vaishali Midha. She set up a bottling plant on the foothills of the Kailash Mansarovar lake. She's going to be bottling water from this holy lake and selling it back in India. Made in China, but made for India. One of the efforts being made to try and increase cooperation in the business sector between India and China is being done by a young lady, Vaishali. She's in Shanghai and she wants to sell water from the Kailash Mansarovar in India. That's a rather unique idea.
Yeah, it is, and we are very excited about it. We're going to launch it pretty soon near Diwali, and I think it's like one of the blessings from God, and it is coming directly from the home of God, from Mount Kailash.
Can you just open the bottle and box and show it to us?
Yeah, sure.
So how did this idea come about? Given how important the Mansarovar is in Indian culture, where did this idea come about from?
I think this is 6 years back when we first went there, and I saw how precious that land is and how much, it is really regarded high in Hindu mythology. And we were very excited, and then we started talking to government if we could procure the water. And it took time, but we are finally here.
That's all we have time for on this special broadcast for you tonight from Shanghai. And this is where we wrap up our coverage from China. The Prime Minister said that he's going to continue working, but the rest of us are going to get a day off. Well, unfortunately, that's not true for us journalists. We're going back and we're returning to work as well. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage from China all through this week. Our continuing coverage of Narendra Modi's first visit to China as Prime Minister, a visit that has many promises. Let's see if some of those promises turn into reality and 1/3 of humanity can work together to achieve its true potential. With camera person Kirpal Singh, this is Rahul Kamal in Shanghai, signing off for Headlines Today.